And it's time for another Mondo Nostalgia Happy Hour. And I'm here with my refreshing water with lemon and my refreshing water with soda.
I don't know what that was, but okay.
I've been trained in improv comedy, but I haven't used it in a long time, so forgive me for that. How are you doing today?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's been a really roller coaster, emotional ride of a week, but I think the worst is past, I hope.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to just spending a hour, half hour.
We
the
can only
uh,
be happy
Mondo,
for a half hour. That's just the limit.
the Mondo Nostalgia happy half hour, Then we'll cram it into 10 minutes. But no, I'm looking forward to spending an hour talking about a whole bunch of pop culture stuff and lots of fun stuff. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about today, so we'll get to all of it. First of all, we should give a plug to you because we came up with a project. Now, I am only the ideas man, and
Yes.
Heather sees my vision, and she's really good at it. Only a couple times, I'm like, "The hell is that?" But more, no, more often than not, she takes my ideas and runs with them, and they look even better, which makes my ideas look even fabulous. And we posted something on Thursday, and it's still up. So keep watching. Don't you dare leave. Dare leave. But after, go watch something called Saturday Morning Madness, and check it out. It's a tribute. If you used to watch Saturday morning cartoons and kids shows, 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, you will find something to make you smile in here. It's a beautiful thing. It's only just over 4 minutes long, and it is just wonderful. I'll be pushing this one because we hope to do more projects like this.
Yeah.
And I think you did an amazing job on it. And
Thank you. Yeah, it was a
yeah, and
great idea too. So I mean, I'm glad that you had the idea so that we could do it.
well, I get so many ideas, and sometimes it takes a long time for me to just sort through the ones I want to work on.
Hmm.
And as soon as that one popped up, I was like, yeah, that's one I want to do. And I asked you, and you said it sounded like fun. We've been working on it for quite a while, and it final um, project looks great. Now we're going to do another one in June, not quite as ambitious, but one that we're hoping to pay tribute to an artist who basically was never a big star. It was a very indie artist, and she was an amazing lady called Kathy Drown. And we're hoping to pay tribute to her because if you go on YouTube, she was just a progressive pioneer lesbian lady that is just wrote some great songs that unfortunately she released an independent CD and it didn't go anywhere. I was happy to see that YouTube finally people have posted her stuff, but she has one song and I won't say what song it is. Please, if you even know who Kathy Drown is, write your comments and let me know. But I think this song needs to be put up, and we decided to kind of make it a tribute to Pride, because we're big supporters of Pride here. It would be weird to be a gay man and not be a big supporter of Pride, but
True.
so anyhow, that's enough shameless plugs until the end. We always do shameless plugs to wrap up the show because we want you to know what's coming up. And I will name names as far as what's coming up because I don't know why I spend all this time doing vague. I do vague like, "Ooh, and we got a misunderstood movie," but I'm going to just tell you what they are this time only because you need to be rewarded because if you were here watching this, we thank you. And it's not like we have like 90,000 viewers that we have to worry about. Oh, they're going to talk about it beforehand. Honestly, our ratings went for the first to the second episode. But we've always been all about if we still get one or two eyes on us, we will still keep doing stuff until I get bored of it, and then we'll find another project
Yeah.
where I get two more sets of eyes on it. I don't know. I don't think I could handle the concept of having so much things watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be too much pressure. I'd love to try it though. Tell your friends. But anyhow, but it doesn't matter if we lost a lot. I always just believe that one day I'll be dead and something is going to go flying, whether it's the Saturday Morning Madness or Count Devula. Because you see it. Sometimes you see, wow, they got 30,000 hits, but then you realize they posted it 8 years ago and they haven't posted anything else. So
Yeah.
our day is coming. Our day
Yay!
is coming. I need a drink. Something stronger than this, but this is what I'll go for now. Anyhow, I told you. Did I mention it was a rough week?
Yeah.
Anyhow, we have lots to talk about and lots of movie stuff to talk about. And yeah, so let's get right to it. Our first story I want to talk about is I'm an advocate for, I've been dying for movie theaters to open. And since this pandemic, we had a brief stint in Ontario. Drive-ins were open up until December, and then we had a brief stint. Uh, I think it was late last summer, early fall,
I think so.
where Ontario theaters had to open again. The problem was is they didn't have a lot of movies to play.
Yeah.
So a lot of movies have been going to streaming. Some have been playing in theaters because some American sites. Here in Ontario, we don't have movie theaters open. They might not be open until the end of the summer,
Mhm.
maybe the middle if we're lucky. And drive-ins are hopefully going to be opening in a couple of weeks, but we're still waiting on news for that, so we'll have to wait and see. But right now, we've had a couple of movies that haven't really blown anyone away because our numbers have to stay low because, only a certain amount of people can go into those theaters in the state. And they're reopening them pretty big, so we might get back to that. But you got to also remember there's a lot of people that are still leery. Just because they reopen it doesn't mean people are ready to go and sit in a theater where they're at risk again. But I think with vaccines finally coming out and a lot of people getting them, that I think people are finally going to be better. And so it's nice to see we got some movies coming out now. Some theaters made some big decisions, like I think Black Widow is going to come out in theaters, but it's also going to play on Disney Plus for $30.
Okay.
And just other things. We got The Conjuring that's going to be playing in theaters, but also on HBO Max. We got, I think A Quiet Place, which is only going to open in theaters. Now we have had some successes. Kong versus Godzilla, I think it is. I never know the thing. That came out and did pretty good. Now that franchise was already slipping, but it made enough money for them to be talking of a sequel already. So that's a good news. So that was a success. Mortal Kombat did good its first weekend, but kind of fizzled afterwards.
Okay.
There's been a couple of minor hits, but everybody's been waiting for that lucrative. Last summer, Tenet came out. We're going to be the movie to save it, and it did okay at the box office. But if theaters were in a regular place, Tenet would be considered a disappointment by Chris Nolan's others numbers. But because it was a pandemic, it was seen as a hit
Yeah.
because we had to take in the fact that the world's crazy right now. So as movie theaters are slowly opening up, we're intrigued to see how these movies are going to do and which one will show the signs that we may be done. Well, we may have seen a big one just open in China and in places overseas. Fast 9, Fast and the Furious 9, F9. I don't know what you want to call this. They seem to change it all the time. Pretty bold if they're still going with F9. Like, you know that whole franchise name just by the F. That could be fuck 9 for all I know. But it opened up really big. It did good numbers, and I think it pushed the Fast and the Furious franchise over the $1 billion mark. I think I read. That's how much it needed to go over. Now, if you remember, I was a fan of the first Fast and Furious movie.
Yes.
I think you were too.
Oh yeah, I love the
And
first one.
as it grew, the movie has become like it went from being a moderate success to the movies are so bug nuts now, like cars jumping out of trains and out of planes. And this one, I've seen scenes where it looks like they're in space, but I won't verify or deny that because I've never seen the movie. So anyhow, it opened and it did really good. And we're actually not going to supposed to get it until the end of June. So
Oh,
by then, a lot of American theaters will be open, and hopefully, knock on wood, will be open.
yeah.
Which means we're finally going to see if Fast Nine is the movie that gets lots of people back in theaters.
Mhm.
Um, which would be interesting because Fast and the Furious, as I said, went from a small, it's an okay movie, and then after about 4 or 5, it just became a phenomenon. It
Yeah.
was one of those weird franchises like Mission Impossible that just kept growing rather than other franchises that just kind of disappeared,
Mhm.
like start losing numbers, like our show. And
Happy hour.
happy hour, yes, stay happy. And so Fast Nine, a lot of industry people are saying that could be the movie that we start seeing if it can happen. But they're probably happy at just the money it made opening weekend because China loves this franchise.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is because it's opened about a month in advance. That means we're not allowed to review it because it hasn't played here yet. Now, I've not seen it. I don't have any golden tickets to go to these movies. But I think some people have gone to premieres and stuff, but they're not allowed to talk about it till closer to the film.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that is it's called an embargo. And if you're allowed to give your initial feelings, but I think if you give any kind of spoiler review,
Okay.
you can get like you won't get asked to any of the previews or stuff.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this actually got some of the lowest ratings that the
Oh.
Fast and Furious ever got. Now, the critics have always been kind of tough on these movies because anybody who knows the Fast and Furious movies, this is like fun, good-looking people, great cars, stuff popcorn in your mouth, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But even audience members were a little fickle to this one. But this is a kind of movie that they call a audience no, a critic proof movie because usually critics won't like it, but it'll be interesting to see if it does well now that fans are kind of saying, okay, this is getting ridiculous. um, and trust me, I've seen that. I'm up to date with my movies, and the last one was absolutely crazy. I still had a lot of fun with it, them driving on ice trying to race against a torpedo. How could you not enjoy something quality
Like.
realistic storytelling like that?
Mhm.
So if they do go into space, I don't know why they would or how they would, but you know what? It's happened before, so what can we do? Anyhow, I am looking forward to seeing it, although I am a little tired of the Fast and the I swear I'm getting old because when we talk about some of the new trailers coming out, I swear I'm gonna sound like I'm at this point where I just want to see old movies or unique new movies. I'm almost like when I see franchises or reboots, I'm almost a little leery, and I'm usually fairly lenient on reboots and remakes, but we'll talk about that later. But I am probably going to see Fast Nine. I think when movie theaters open again, I'll be cautious, but I want to get out there again because I love the whole movie going experience, and I will certainly want to promote going to theaters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I will definitely have my first shot. I have an appointment finally. I did not promote it on Facebook because it's my business.
Yeah.
But I will have my first dose, and I'm not going to be one of those people like, woohoo, I'm immune like everybody else is.
That's weird.
Um, I realize masks will have to be worn for quite a while, but I
Mhm.
am looking forward to go to the movies. So Fast Nine is probably a no-brainer. I'll probably check out. Another big story in movie news. I don't know if you heard this one. Amazon just bought the MGM movie library.
Okay.
Now, this is huge because the MGM movie library, like some of the most classic films, fall under this category. Not only that, lots of potential reboots and remakes are in here because they have everything from Legally Blonde to RoboCop to like Head's Poltergeist movies. Did I say Rocky already?
No, you didn't. But that.
Okay. Lots of stuff. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, the one that probably caused them to spend $8 billion, was the James Bond movies. And there is some stipulation with them because they also are owned by other people, but that is a huge thing. And as soon as they acquired it, Amazon, there was rumors going around like, "Ooh, they want to do a TV series. Oh, that all the James Bond movies are going to hit Amazon Prime." They have said a statement and said, "We have made no decisions. We don't know, when this is going to go through. We're just happy to get it." Disney said that in 2017 they were looking at going after MGM over the Fox library, but they didn't think the MGM library was going to open up, so they went after Fox. But I think they would have been stopped if they tried to get both, because I think there are things in place so you can't have such a big friend,
Maybe.
like a big majority of like, because
Yeah.
you're gonna Disney owns so much already. So, to add James Bond to that and all that other stuff that I mentioned. And as I said, if you go look at the MGM library, you're looking at huge amounts of movies. Like technically even stuff like Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind all falls under there. It also falls under Warner Brothers. So I don't know how that's gonna play out.
Hmm.
But obviously, this is crucial because Amazon Prime will now be adding the library to their streaming service. And right now, movie theaters that's what they care about, is getting subscribers because streaming is the future. And as we see the end of DVDs and Blu-rays, and hopefully not movie theaters, but we might, getting as much content out there is possible. So I'm not sure when it's going to happen or what Amazon will get a hold of. They have made statements saying that Bond will always get a theatrical release.
Good.
Now, keep in mind, we're actually waiting for a Bond movie. In October, November, I think the next Bond movie, No Time to Die,
Oh.
is supposed to finally come out, and it's going to be almost 2 years old,
Oh.
sitting in a vault. Like there's so many backlogs of movies that when they finally start releasing them, and
Hmm.
I think that's why Fast Nine is a. As soon as you see the first one doing really well, you're going to see people more confident because Disney's tried with Mulan and stuff like that. That didn't go over so well. As I said, Congress Godzilla did well, but they probably wished it did better.
Yeah.
But so this is a great news for Amazon because they get the movies. Scares me a little bit. I have no problem with streaming, but it scares me that big companies are going to be in control of these movies. And once we start losing physical media, I can't stress enough. Now's the time to start collecting stuff because eventually, Blu-rays and DVDs aren't going to be made. And though a lot of people are surprised by this, but VHSs still sell pretty good. Like
Oh.
people buy them and use stuff. And I know where I work at Value Village, when we get a VCR in, it's bought within a couple of hours because
Wow.
people are hoarding machines. Because there is a lot of stuff. I just watched a great documentary on the streaming service, Tubi, which I can't promote enough because it's a free streaming service. And I watched a documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but it was all about the impact VHS had in the movie industry. And there are a lot of movies that are on VHS that are not on Blu-ray or DVD yet,
Oh.
and not on streaming services.
Mhm.
And I think companies will be able to control what we get a hold of. And so that's great because you know they're going to release the big name movies, but it's those smaller independents or strange cult movies that could go missing because we just don't want to remaster it. We don't want to put it on our streaming site. And so people just look for those VHSs and pop them in. And I don't blame them.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a whole culture. But Amazon, this will be huge for them in the fight because Amazon doesn't have, as far as I know, their own catalog like this.
Okay.
Um, and so it'll be really interesting to see. So things will continue to heat up.
Mhm.
I'm just glad Disney Plus finally started putting more mature stuff on their channel under the Stars logo.
Yeah.
Finally releasing 20th Century Fox, though it is still weird seeing like Mickey Mouse cartoons and Pixar next to like the Aliens franchise and
Yeah.
stuff, or horror movies like The Hills Have Eyes and stuff.
Mhm.
It's kind of fun to see. So we'll see how that plays out. But Amazon feeling pretty good. They spent $8 billion. That's how lucrative streaming has become, that
Yeah.
they're spending that much money on the
Mhm.
catalog. But MGM, besides the franchises I mentioned, we're talking tons of classic old movies, and that it's just an just incredible. So if you're a movie fan, stick around. We have three trailers. A lot of trailers dropped this week, but we're going to talk about three in particular. But first, we got to get rid of the deaths because happy hour is all about the celebrity deaths. There were quite a few of them, but we're going to talk about three. No real big ones, except for us in our hearts, one was pretty huge. And so we're going to talk about her first because she was an innovator. And I still remember Mondo Nostalgia's radio station, Hip FM, when we started playing her on it, and the day I discovered, and who I'm talking about is Rusty Warren. And don't feel bad if you didn't hear of her. If you grew up in the 60s and liked comedy albums, you actually probably knew her more. Or if you're a female comedian or who has gone in the past to look at pioneers, she was considered one of the queens of the sexual revolution. I remember, yeah, she was known also as the Knockers Up Girl. She was one of the first open comedians who would talk about sex from a female perspective. And she had the song that really kind of got her out there was called Knockers Up. It came out in 1960. She was basically a stand up comedian and then made this album. And Knockers Up was just a huge success. And people started discovering this raunchy lady who, also had songs. The song I remember playing by her a lot was Knockers Are Really Big This Year. And she didn't just talk about knockers. I love the word knockers. It's not my favorite breast slang. I like tits. I don't think that's slang though. I've always liked tits. But knockers a is a great topic.
Yes.
Gay man talking about knockers. Show us your knockers. Get your knockers up in honor of Rusty, Heather. Anyhow, yeah, I love the term knockers, and when somebody uses it, I actually almost like fall to the floor laughing. So of its time. But she didn't just sing about knockers; she also sang about boobies. She had another hit song called "Bounce Your Boobies." Bounce your boobies, la 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 la. And basically, they were songs about being proud of your breasts and using them to your advantage against men. But she never really put down men. She always was like, we need to keep them happy. Because if they're happy, we're happy. And I'm trying to do Rusty's voice. She had a very distinct voice. I'm sure she was inspiration to a lot of people. But when you talk about, inspirational women of the sex revolution, comedy,
Mm-hmm.
Mae West, Joan Rivers, you'd have to mention Rusty Warren. Now, I discovered Rusty when I was into albums, and I bought my own, and I, borrowed some from my brother, and I decided that I was getting into like cooler stuff. And when I meant cooler, I meant like old, Rat Pack albums, and I wondered if my parents had some. So I went and raided their record thing because they had like this record bin that they never listened to. They'd listen to like maybe their current 5 albums they bought, and then the rest would just sit there. And I remember going through it and pulling out some awesome albums. And then I came across this album from 1967 called Rusty Rides Again. And it was this weird album cover where this girl was straddling a motorcycle in a way that women would never really straddle motorcycles. And if you go and look up the cover and say, "Oh, I totally do that every Sunday," then but to me, it just seems like something in a man's fantasy or a Michael Bay movie or a pinup girl maybe might pose that way. But anyhow, it was interesting, and I asked my dad, who's Rusty Warren, and he would say, "Oh, that's the Knockers Up girl." And lo and behold, I found the Knockers Up album, and I'm like, well, are they talking about what I think they're talking about? And knowing my dad having a bit of a pervert side, of course, that's what they're talking about. Now, I remember playing the song we used to play a lot is Knockers Are Really Big This Year. And sadly, I actually don't have that on MP3 because it's hard to find. I'm going to have to look because I don't think the CD was ever reissued. So we always played it on vinyl. And I
Yeah.
don't have a record player right now. So we do play Knockers Up and Bounce Your Boobies. And I think a couple, Roll Me Over in the Clover, which my dad sang all the time. And I thought this was an innocent song. And now here he is taking the kids out, and he'd be like, "Roll me over in the clover, lay me down and do it again." And I didn't know that was about, woo, sex. Because I was so naive. You could have wrote a song about sex in the title, and I wouldn't know it was about sex. Um, but till I was older, then I was more mature, of course. But anyhow, yeah, and so we just I started playing the Rusty Warren song. We loved it. I'll definitely have to look for Knockers Really Big this year. She's just groundbreaking in so many ways. Do you remember us playing
Oh yeah.
Rusty?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Were you now as a woman? Were you offended by Rusty telling you to bounce your boobies or get your
No.
knockers up?
No, not offended at all. I thought it was hilarious.
True confession time. Did you ever bounce your boobies when that song came out? Like, you
I
don't have to
don't
tell us.
remember for sure. I probably
Oh,
did, but I don't remember.
that's a cop out. I even bounced
Cop
my
out,
boobies.
you're right.
I,
I
I
don't
may,
honestly remember.
I even bounced my boobs when I heard
There
that
you
song.
go. I probably did. I just don't remember specifically that I did, so.
Yeah, if you want to do a male version, bounce your moobies. I like calling men's boobs moobs. It's not as good as tits, but
No.
so anyhow, go check out some Rusty Warren. It's very dated material. It's very probably almost non-offensive now from stuff we hear from comedians now. But she was a revolutionary, and I knew I wanted to spend some time talking about Rusty Warren.
Yes.
I'll give a little plug to Mondo Nostalgia. Lots of fun things there you can go check out. Some people seem to get enjoyment out of me posting elevating your wiener.
Oh, yes.
I mean, hot dog, of course. And I don't know, did you get a chance to watch that one?
I did, yes. That was a good
Yeah,
press.
I thought so because you used to like a good wiener back in the day,
Yeah.
didn't you? Now, when I met you, you were like you loved hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that come about?
I don't know.
Well, you not you were a fussy eater, right? And
Yeah.
whenever you eat something, you would whip out a hot dog.
Yeah,
Do you still enjoy a hot dog, or do you still
yeah,
make them?
yeah. I don't have them as often, but I do like them. So.
And have you tried to evel evolate your hot dog?
I have not tried that. No, those are
It's
pretty
mo
basic recipes for me. I'm like, ooh, I boiled it. I'm fancy.
we boil and grill.
Ooh,
Mike found out that's the way you go.
nice.
Now, up to this point, elevating a hot dog would be holding it up over your head.
Yeah, pretty much.
Uh, yeah, though I have gone to Easterbrook's. If you're in the Burlington area, Easterbrook's has a lot of different types of like foot long hot dogs, and
Mhm.
oh, they all look so good. They all look so good, but I always get the nacho dog because I remember how good it is. And then every day I go there, I'm like, I'm going to get something different. And guess what? I come up with the nacho dog, which I believe has cheese and salsa on it. And oh,
We
yeah,
always
it's
got
funny.
normal ones. Like
Pardon?
we went there, we just got normal foot-long hot dogs. We didn't have any special toppings on them. I think that they must have been too expensive for us to get when we were kids or something, maybe.
Well, you probably wouldn't like it if you were that fussy.
You could be right, but I know everybody in the family just got the normal foot-long ones, so it wasn't just me. Yeah.
Well, next time you go out there, you should try one of the different ones, and then
Yeah.
you'll be like, "Damn, I should have got." See, that's my fear. I always want to try something new, but if I don't like it, I'll be like, "Damn, I could be eating a nacho dog right now." And the weird thing is I've tried to make them at home, but they never taste the same. Like, I always have salsa and cheese in the fridge,
Yeah.
and not always just processed cheese. I sometimes have a block of cheddar in there. But I still, yeah, it just doesn't taste right or something.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for recipe ideas, go over to Mondo Nostalgia. There's a lot of funny stuff on there, but definitely elevate your hot dog
Yeah.
because we're coming up to grilling season, and hot dogs are always a good choice. And you might be making them just for the kids, or maybe you love them, but you can always make regular ones for the kids and then elevate your wiener
That's
when you get the chance for adults. So, my public service announcement for wieners. Okay, we got three trailers to look at. The first one was the Eternals trailer. I guess this is the big one of the week.
one last thing. You
Sure.
mentioned three celebrity deaths, but you didn't mention who the other two people were.
Oh, yeah, no, I was too busy talking about wiener. Um, oh, wow, a gay man distracted by wieners. Yes, thank you. That's why you're here. You'll have a little something extra in your paycheck. Another project.
Probably.
I'm now. She's made a fool of me in front of everybody, so she needs another project. She has time to call me out, but no, that's true. I want to pay tribute to the deaths before we get to. Okay, so we've got Samuel E. Wright passed away.
Okay.
For those of you, he was a Broadway guy, but I think most people know him as the voice of Sebastian the Crab from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people recognize him from Under the Sea, Under the Sea. I actually like him because of Kiss the Girl. I always thought that was such a better song than Under the Sea. I like both of them. The Little
Yeah.
Mermaid is one of my favorite Disney movies,
Yeah.
but sadly the crab has died. Well, we shouldn't say it like that. Kids crying all over the place. Let's be honest, that crab would have been eaten in no time. But yeah, so Samuel E. Wright passed, and I saw a lot of people. You can tell a lot of people love Little Mermaid because we had a lot of cry emojis and sad face emojis on
Mhm.
when I announced that. And the other one just happened like within an hour of us coming. You might not have even seen it
Oh, I
yet.
probably haven't.
Yeah, and if I say this name, you probably won't even recognize it. But John Davis has passed away. He died of COVID. And if you don't know him, it's not a surprise, but you will know of him
Okay.
because he is the original singing voice of Milli Vanilli.
Oh, okay.
Now, for those of you who remember music scandals of the 90s, I'll take music scandals of the 90s for 300, Alex. For those of you who know, Milli Vanilli were huge successes, like to the point of having multiple number one songs on their debut album. They had songs like Blame It on the Rain, Baby Don't Forget My Number, Girl I'm Gonna Miss You. I know there's another one I'm missing, but yeah, they had solid number one songs. And then one day, and it's great footage, you can go to check it out to YouTube after the show, of course. Um, there's great footage of it where they're literally singing live and there's a misfunction in the singing. And that's how they were called out. It went everywhere. It went viral that they were just the pretty boys, because, they had like the big long dreads and they had the, abs. And they didn't even sing the songs. And it's funny because I actually wasn't the biggest Milli Vanilli fan. But as soon as that scandal broke, I actually gave them more credit that they pulled this off for as long as they did. And I actually I went out and bought the CD, I think it was at the time, and I started playing it because I really like the songs. Now, um, I love their songs, but the guy who actually sang them, John Davis, and I don't think he ever got the credit he deserved, but I think he did get the money he deserved.
Oh, that's good.
Um, he just passed away from COVID related stuff. So yeah, a couple of deaths there. Thank you for reminding me that people die in this world.
I'm glad I could help.
Back to the happy hour
Yeah.
as we take a look at the Eternals trailer. And this is probably the big one because it's weird. After years of getting so many MCU movies, we have had a dry spell
Yeah.
because of COVID.
Yes.
Black Widow was supposed to come out last summer. I think there should have been at least two or three movies
Probably.
out before then,
Yeah.
and the Disney shows. Now, we have seen the Disney shows. WandaVision came out, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
But we haven't had a movie in a while because, they keep pushing Black Widow. We're probably finally going to see that this summer. But it's so weird not having MCU movies. And of course, every time they push a movie back, it pushes all the other ones back. So there's tons of MCU movies waiting to come for what will be known as Phase 4. And The Eternals is one of them. I think this is going to be the one that follows Black Widow.
Okay.
And this again I'm not familiar with the comic, but it's a famous comic. But again, MCU is taking a chance on a property that a lot of people don't know and hoping that it'll translate as big as Guardians of the Galaxy did, because nobody knew what that was, and that blew up to the point where I think even the comic sales went huge for that.
I think so. Yeah.
And they're hoping to have another win here. Now, they released a teaser trailer, and I watched it immediately, and here's where I start sound like an old curmudgeon. But I was just like, I think I'm tired of the superhero movies unless I see names that I want to see, like Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman, or well, even after the last one, I'm not sure I want to see that one for a while. But like Spider Man, you
Yeah.
know, um, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But this one kind of bored me a little bit, and I was just kind of like, yeah, it's probably going to be a good movie, but I'm not even really excited to see Black Widow. So the Eternals really didn't, set a fire under me. Like, oh, I can't wait. How about you? How did you feel seeing?
I figured, well, it's probably going to be a good movie. I mean, I'm not in a hurry to see it, but I kind of like you that I'm looking forward to it in the sense that it'll be nice to see a new movie from Marvel, but it doesn't much matter what movie is from Marvel because whatever we get from them is probably going to be good. So,
Yeah. They've only had a couple that I wasn't a big fan of, and so I'm sure it's going to be good. But I'm almost at the point that I kind of don't want to watch the Phase 4 movies, but I know there'll be eventually a movie I'll want to see, and then I'll be like, oh, I should have watched those other ones. But I think I'm almost at the point that I'm almost tired of having to watch every single movie they put out to keep.
well, I haven't watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier series yet because so I know I need
And
to watch that one so before the Loki one comes out next month. So it's like,
Oh, you'll be all over the Loki one.
Oh yeah, but I think I need to probably watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier one first, just in case. So,
Yeah,
so
and I think Shang-Chi, I think, is out before the Eternals.
probably.
Is it Shang? Is that, I mean, am I
I
saying
don't
that right?
know. I'm not sure because I
The
don't.
only other way I
I'm
can
familiar
say it
with
is
that one.
Shanghai, and I don't think that's
No,
the
I don't
name of
think
the
that's
guy.
it. Yeah.
So anyhow, it looks wonderful. It looks like there's not a lot of action in it. I don't know if they're keeping that. I see a lot of talking and robes and
Yeah. Well, this was
talking
kind of a
about.
teaser trailer, wasn't it?
Yes, so they're holding back a little bit. But
Mhm.
so then I also saw Tomorrow War, which I have heard loose things about. I knew Chris Pratt was in it, and I knew it was. I heard something that it was going to debut on streaming or something, and possibly in theaters too. And I like Chris Pratt, and even though he had a couple of funny lines in this, it almost looks like they're playing him a little more serious, which
Yeah.
I would really like to see because
Yes.
I did like Passengers, even though a lot of people didn't, and he played that one pretty straight, and I think he has the chops for it. I actually like Tomorrow War, although it could have been any action film, but I was a little excited to see this one.
Hmm.
I think I'm ready for just no nonsense action, and I'm. It's not about superheroes, but honestly, it's filmed like a superhero movie. It's filmed like one of those big action films.
Hmm. I liked.
It might not be. Pardon?
I liked the premise. I thought it was a neat
Yeah,
idea.
it's a neat premise, and I really liked whoever edited the trailer. I thought they did a really good thing because this movie went from I don't know really what it is to yeah, I think I'd see that. So that's a plus. If you can get a trailer to do that for you, then definitely you've got a win there.
Hmm.
We also got a shot at a new movie by Edgar Wright called Last Night in Soho, and I never knew I was such a big Edgar Wright fan, but then I realized, well, the last movie is considered my favorite, but he did movies like Shaun of the Dead. He
Okay.
did movies like, oh my God, it just slipped out of my head. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, okay.
And of course, his last big screen fare was Baby Driver, which I am obsessed with. I have pictures, I have little pop vinyls. I love the music of it. I love everything about it. I love Ansel Elgort, but I liked him before Baby Driver. I just loved him after. And I love Edgar Wright. And Edgar Wright has made me miss movies that we didn't see him in. Because he actually was going to be part of the MCU. He was very close to directing Ant Man, and I would love to see what his take on Ant
Hmm,
Man would have
interesting.
been. It
Yeah.
was a very different script, but they decided, yeah, this isn't what we're looking for,
Oh.
and they basically said, yeah, we're not going that direction. So I would have loved to see that.
Hmm.
Um, and he's been linked to do other movies. I think things in the DC and maybe even the Star Wars universe. But honestly, well, I guess Scott Pilgrim was based on an anime novel, I believe,
I think.
or a comic. I don't know what you call them, but besides that, I think everything he's done is original. And when I see this, I was so excited for this because this looks like something from the 80s or 90s.
Hmm.
It's a psychological thriller. I didn't know what we were watching, and as it went on, it got darker and darker. And I love how Edgar Wright works with psychology. One thing I said about the Baby Driver is even the smallest characters in those movies, I'd like to see full movies of because I feel all the characters are very developed, even if they only have a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah.
So to see him behind something like this,
Hmm.
I'm excited about. I didn't even know he was directing this, and Anna, I always get it wrong, Anna Taylor Joy or something like that. I'm a really big fan of hers, and Matt Smith was in this. And this just looked like movies that intrigued me. So this went to the top of what I want to see. It just looks good. Did you get a nice fight, or did you think
I
it looked
did. I
too
wasn't sure
crazy?
what it was going to be when I started. but I liked that it sort of started seeming like oh, this is kind of just a fantasy sort of movie, and then it gets darker and darker and darker, and I liked that. It was neat. I think it might be a horror, but I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. I
Yeah,
think they look like they cross into that a
yeah,
few times, but I also think that, yeah, I don't really know.
yeah.
I
I think
don't.
you're right. It's probably a psychological thriller, but it's got bits of horror in it too, and it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
It looks like a movie that David Lynch would have directed in the day. And if David Lynch's name was on this now, I would be like,
You wouldn't go near it.
but I would secretly watch it, I think, because
Yeah, but I wouldn't be
there's something
excited.
in it. But this reminded me of that kind of feel, but I can't wait to see
Yeah.
what he brings to the table. So Last Night in Soho. So check out those trailers. You can go online on YouTube or just go to last week on Mondo Nostalgia, shameless plug, and they will all be there for you because we put the latest trailers up as well as hot dog elevating recipes and funny stuff too. Speaking of funny stuff, ooh, nice transition.
Yeah.
We are going to talk a little bit about Kids in the Hall. They posted their first picture. Now, I don't know if we talked about this, but I was a big Kids in the Hall fan. A Canadian group, five guys. Oh my God, can I remember them all? Bruce McCullough, Mark McKinney, Scott Thompson, Dave Foley, and Kevin McDonald. And I was a big fan when I was a young adult. I loved watching them on CBC, and I think they went to another station. But their comedy was probably the closest to Monty Python.
Yeah.
They weren't as well, actually, sometimes they could be as abstract as Monty Python. When you're crushing people's heads or having a cabbage for a head, that's pretty much Monty Python. But
Yeah.
I think they always made fun women, and I used to love when the Monty Python people would make like horrible women with those like "hello," and what I always liked about the Kids in the Hall gang was when they dressed as women, they were very realistic looking women,
They
but
were.
also very not the most attractive women, but you could
But
always say, I've seen women that look like that. And yeah, and I was they've had a couple reunion things. They did a mini series that Mike and I tried to watch, and it was like a train wreck. I hope to watch it again someday. It was called, I think, Death Comes to Town. And
okay.
it was like a mini series soap opera where they played multiple characters, and it was just awful. But it was entertaining enough to watch it. So when they originally said that they were coming back to do new episodes of Kids in the Hall, now these are all older. They were young whippersnappers in their 20s, maybe early 30s that were, and since then they have all gone on to do their own things. But Amazon, I think it was Amazon still, it could be Amazon again,
Yeah.
has given them permission to do 8 new episodes of Kids in the Hall. And when I first heard this, I thought it was kind of a silly idea. And I was kind of hoping, because sometimes going back to the well doesn't always work. But yeah, I'm intrigued. And the first picture they posted with them all on the back stairs and just their smiles and remembering how many laughs they gave me.
Hmm.
And even though they're all a little older and maybe some are a little bigger, they're still, you can tell, they're still them. And
Yeah.
I have to say, it did warm my heart and made me very excited about watching this. Are you a Kids in the Hall fan? I think I've forced you to watch some.
Oh yeah, I've watched a bunch of them. They're good. I like that.
And were you
Some of
excited?
them get a little too weird for me, but most of them I enjoy it. So
Yeah, they're head scratchers. Sometimes they'd have a really funny one, and then there'd be another one like, but I don't think I think every sketch comedy
probably.
would say that because I don't know too many that hit it out of the park.
Yeah, that's
Um, because it's comedy is subjective. So, you might not like, the chicken lady, but somebody else will probably think that's hilarious or. But I can't wait to see it, and I hope they wear lots of dresses in the movie. I want to see just as much dresses that I see on RuPaul's Drag Race. Because, as I said, I always liked when they dressed as women, and to see them as older, unattractive women will be really hilarious. So, actually, I think they looked kind of like older, unattractive women when they were younger. So, it'll be interesting to see what they look like. Anyhow, before we get to shameless plugs, I guess this is kind of a shameless plug, but I don't consider this one a shameless plug because we're very supportive of this project, and this weekend you will get a chance to see it come to life. Now, if you follow the Devlin Bishop show, last week we had Laurie Distel and Piper Distel come on and talk about a very personal project. Laurie was the wife of a wonderful man named Joe Distel, a very good friend of mine, and I'm a good friends with the whole family. And he has two wonderful daughters, Piper Distel and Isabel. Izzy?
Ellie.
Ellie,
Eliza.
Eliza. Yes, that's it. Um, Eliza Distel, and they recently put together. Piper found a whole bunch of Joe's writing. Now, not getting too much into it because we don't want to end the happy hour with me blubbering in tears. But Joe lost his life early on because of a brain tumor, and this is Brain Tumor Awareness Month, and it was very hard for the family to get through, and hard to watch this family having to deal with it. But it has been inspiring to see that they haven't let it hold them back, even though they came on the Devlin Bishop show and talked about it very candidly.
Mm-hmm.
Piper was looking for a particular story of her father's and found a whole bunch of his writings. And she actually, I have the book right here, she actually put them together to get her father published,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was beautiful that she did this. This is a book you can buy, I believe, on Amazon. We're promoting Amazon a lot.
Yeah.
Called Small Blessings. And yeah, just a wonderful. That's Joe right there. Just a very handsome and even more so beautiful man on the inside. Anyhow, they released this, I believe, at the beginning of this year, and they were very happy with it because it's got just so much of Joe in it: short stories, essays, um, a little bit of everything. I think there's a screenplay. I think she
There is.
said,
Yeah.
and she's hoping to post more because of how much she found. But they were working on a secret project for months, and they are part of the Penny and Pound Productions, and we've promoted it a lot. I've hosted some of their shows, me alone and as Count Devula. So I've been very honored to be part of this in a very small way. And they have been working on a project that is going to even more so pay tribute to their father, husband. And this weekend, a lot of the stories from Small Blessings are going to be brought to life by a lot of young, awesome performers. And they are going to be doing readings and lots of other stuff. I look forward to seeing it. Joe had a really quirky sense of not only humor, but sense of life. He was very real, but he was very genuine and honest. And they've made it clear that although this is to raise money for brain tumor awareness and for the Brain Tumor Organization of Canada, that this is not going to be like a wake or a funeral. This is going to be a celebration of life. They're going to let Joe's words speak. Uh, and if you didn't get to see that interview, you can catch it up on Mondo Nostalgia. It's very good. You'd think with the heavy topic, it would be really sad. Yeah, we hit sad notes, but there's so much laughter in it. And I think Joe would have liked that. Unlike his daughter publishing his works, which we talked about, that Joe would have probably hated that he did this, but I think somewhere he's going to be smiling this weekend. And check YouTube. If you can't find it on YouTube, you can go to Mondo Nostalgia because we'll definitely promote it. We already have been.
Mm-hmm.
And it is probably going to be, depending when you watch this, available now. It's free to watch, but they are going to be putting up donations towards the Brain Tumor Association. And Penny and Pound always put together great productions. They were doing it when they were doing actual stage work, and they have put on some great shows that are still available on YouTube and other places. So just go over to Penny and Pound, support these ladies, and hopefully, if you're looking for something different this weekend, to definitely check out Small Blessings on YouTube. And as I said, there'll be links on Mondo Nostalgia, and there will be on the Penny and Pound homepage as well. So it's time now to promote us. And I already promoted our new Saturday Morning Madness, but it never music video in honor of Saturday morning cartoons and commercials and all that good stuff that you used to love while shoveling cereal in your face. Um, Sunday, um, May 28th. No, I don't know what it
No,
is.
today's the 28th. Sunday is
The 30th.
yes.
We will have Sunday Funnies. I don't normally promote Sunday Funnies, but it is the start of a new serial, and it's a Buster Crab Flash Gordon. We didn't get a copyright hit, so we're going to be showing it. So, as always, it's about a half hour long. You'll get a cartoon, and you'll get a little short for the drive in, and then we go right into a new serial. Now, remember, if you ever come into the middle of a serial, just go onto the Mondo Nostalgia site and you will see it. Okay, on Thursday is our next thing. We don't have a Devlin Bishop show. We may not have one for a couple weeks, but I am going to be looking into getting some guests. But on Thursday, June 3rd, we are going to be having another Misunderstood Movies. We have Funland up already, which is a very intriguing movie, which is going to be a future cult movie night. So keep that in mind if you are intrigued by it. But I'm going to look at the movie from 1987, Masters of the Universe, with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. I'm not the biggest He-Man fan, but boy, I found this movie about a year ago and I loved it and I needed to talk about it. I do pay tribute to you fanatics for He-Man, but Masters of the Universe is definitely a misunderstood movie. And find out why this Thursday, June 3rd, on Friday, June. Oh, our movie, Devlin's Cult Movie Theater. Now, if you only know us through YouTube, if you're intrigued at watching really bad, so bad they're good movies, or sometimes there'll be a stinker in there, and sometimes there'll be a winner. I know we got one coming up in 2 weeks. But yeah, if you want to go to our Facebook page, we will keep you up to date with our thing. And we're going to show movies every Thursday night at 8. And this week we have a Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. You know the summer is starting when we got one of theirs. And I don't know if this is one of their better ones because even their bests are kind of goofy and silly. If you've ever seen any of these beach movies, they will. But on Thursday, June 3rd, we will have in our Devlin Cult Theater Muscle Beach Party and lots of great music and actors. I think even Stevie Wonder turns up in this doing a performance. Very young Stevie Wonder. So
Oh.
lots of laughs, lots of goofiness, and lots of Count Devula going, hey, he's not going to be there. He wouldn't want that to save his life. Well, maybe if people watched it all, he might. Anyhow, on Friday, speaking of Count Devula, June 4th, we have a brand new Count Devula, and I'm happy to say it's a full movie. Now, I don't normally announce these, but you know what? If you made it through and watched the whole thing, sipping on your beverage and enjoying the happy hour, I'm letting you know. And it is a great film. I won't tell you if Count Devula will like it because it's not really a horror, but it is amazing. It's called The Wild Women of Wongo, and I believe it's from 1957, but do not quote me. It's a fun movie with horrible morals and just horrible acting. But it is a lot of fun, and you throw Count Devula putting in his 2 cents worth every couple of minutes, and you've got a fun night. I'm hoping to have a watch party of some Count Devula.
That'd be nice.
I'm just afraid nobody will show up because not for me, but for Count Devula
Yeah.
because he likes people showing up. Saturday, June 5th, we'll hopefully have another happy hour. Hopefully, a lot of celebrities will die, so we have stuff to talk about. No, I can't believe I said that. I mean, a lot of news that's not celebrity deaths. And of course, trivia every Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, this Saturday, we've got the 60s time warp, so we don't have anything that Saturday, but every other Saturday in the summer, we're going to try to do some kind of music special or something.
Mhm.
So you'll have to wait to the following week to see what we got unveiled then. And of course, Sunday Funnies on June 6th, I believe it is, the day I get my shot. That's why I knew Sunday was June 6th.
There
But
we
don't ask me about it because that's personal. I'd rather talk about my sex life before getting that little prick. Anyhow, we've hit it. It's an hour and it's time to go. Do you have any last words? Not like you're dying or anything or being one of our celebrity deaths next week.
No, I'm good.
So now I'm going to pray that nobody dies in the celebrity world because I feel I may have just put a curse on them. But
Yes.
on that note, stay strong, be strong, be safe, be beautiful, and be kind. But most of all, be back here next week for the next episode of Happy Hour. Mondo Nostalgia Happy Hour. For the full name. Got to get that in there. We don't want to lose half our audience again. Please watch. Anyhow, love you all. We'll see you next week.